Hi, everyone, and welcome to our third speaker session of Hack It Out. Hope everyone's doing well and enjoying their weekend or also a national holiday now. I think if it not everybody enjoys an overlap, but I hope you're having a good day and had a good start to your weekend. This week, we're going to be talking about Twilio and giving you a head start into what Twilio is, how you can use it in your applications, and believe me, from personal experience, it's something it's tech that you want to use in your hackathons. I won't take much of your time, won't talk much about Twilio because we have a special guest speaker to do that, somebody that knows it much better than I would be able to talk about it. So I'm just going to give you a quick introduction of your speaker today and hand the reins over to him. Today, as our speaker, we have Aditya Oberai. A lot of you might know him from student communities all over the world, perhaps. He is a DevRel engineer at Appwrite, a Twilio champion. He's been running communities since the past 2 odd years since I've been seeing, and he's active part of communities through as an MLH coach, as a Gold Microsoft Learn student ambassador, and as a GDSC lead at his university. Welcome, Aditya. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me on. Before anything, am I audible properly?
Can hear you perfectly. Yes.
Awesome. Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for joining in today. This session is really we're just talking about a technology that I love working with, that I've had a lot of fun with. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And don't worry, it's going to be highly beginner centric. So we're going to have fun. And yeah, before I jump into talking about Twilio, a huge shout out to the Hack It Out team for having me on. They've definitely been working hard over this. So go ahead, give them a shout out in the chat. And yeah, go and register on that dev post. It's there in the description, but please go do
Register
that.
for the
I'll be joining you
hackathon.
there
It'll
as
be
well.
fun.
Yeah. All right. So I'm one thing I'm gonna be doing right now is that I'm gonna be shifting StreamYard here on my right side on my other display. The reason I've done it is because in order to demonstrate what Twilio is, the console, and then live code, I wanna work on my main primary display. So if I look at the right, it's just to view maybe our chat and all. Don't worry too much about that. It's just me looking at StreamYard. Um, and yeah, I guess we're ready to talk about Twilio now. So, without much further ado, let's begin. Awesome. So, Twilio is a cloud communications as a service platform. Now, that seems like a very wordy title, but what that means is that Twilio has solutions that allow you to send messages, create voice calls, get insights from them, all of that using API calls. That's it's pretty cool that way. As far as I go ahead to talk about Twilio's offering, there is a lot of aspects of this platform that are highly oriented on an industry front, especially when it comes to customer engagement. But that being said, these are features that allow us to build really cool hacks. And for those of you in communities who try to work with larger audiences for communication, you may not have worked with messaging or voice in the past always, but you've probably heard of SendGrid. So that is also, now owned by Twilio. So Twilio is definitely one of the best solutions out there when it comes to communications of any form. As you can see, they have offerings for messaging, voice, video, Twilio Live, which is an audio video live streaming experience. That's something new that's coming up, and email through SendGrid. Apart from that, they've got a few other applications that are a lot more oriented towards, well, customer engagement and management. But for now, we don't need to worry about that. Today, the two primary APIs we'll play around with are messaging and programmable voice. And the primary connectivity feature that we're using here is going to be the phone number. So we're going to purchase a phone number in Twilio. That's actually possible. You'll need a Twilio phone number to work with Twilio. So that's the way to go. Now, I already have access to the console, but I know some of you might not be registered. So what you can do is I am just sending in a link here to our organizers and they can send it over to you. All right. And what this link here will allow you to do is it will allow you to register on Twilio and get a few extra credits. So I think it's in there. It's on the chat. They'll send it over to you in the next few seconds, I guess. It should be coming in soon. But anyway, that link is gonna. Yeah, I guess it's in there now, which is awesome. So you can go ahead. You can register on Twilio for this. It's gonna get you a few credits, which should be able to help at least manage any of these sessions comfortably. Now I'm gonna go ahead, hop over into my console to talk a little about how this console looks, what we're doing there, all of that. The first time you enter your console, you'll have to create a project for yourself. In my case, it's my first Twilio project. That's what I created. But once you've done that, it's not a heavy setup. But once you've done that, you will see a little account SID, an auth token, some of this information, and you'll see your balance. I have some extra credits there as well. You can get those from the GitHub Student Developer Pack, by the way. So that gets you $50 of credits. But anyway, so the account SID is there. That's really an identity token for your account, and the auth token, that one is, well, an authorization key, not one to show at any point of time. All right. Next up, one thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead, gonna go to phone numbers. All right. I have a phone number right now, but when you start and create a phone, your own account, you'll probably have to buy one. So buy a number is the option you have to go for. When you're purchasing, one thing I'll say is that with India, there's times when I haven't been able to find a number upon request because there are certain local regulations. So you may not get a number immediately, but if you select the United States, it's gonna make your process a lot quicker. That's how I got a number, and it's pretty inexpensive as far as your credits go because you'll have what, $15 on your trial, and then if you upgrade with Nike, you'll get 10 plus. GitHub Student Developer Pack has its own. It's just $1 a month, so that's pretty inexpensive, and you can get a number now. Make sure when you select the capabilities of the number, you have all of these selected. We need only voice and SMS for this particular session, but later on, when you're working on your own hacks, when you're working on those ideas, you want to have those options open for you. All right. And as far as international messaging and voice goes, it works with Twilio. So that's not going to be a worry for you because I have an active US based number as well. I actually got it at a time. I think at that point, India numbers weren't available at all. But I also have a US number. So it's okay. It totally works. All right. Now, as far as the process of trying to, work with these two SDKs goes, I know sometimes things get a little confusing. Um, it can get overwhelming, but for now, the console, we've got our information. Once you get your number and you have your account SID and auth token, you don't need to worry too much about the console. You can later use it to monitor in case there are any calls or messages you send out, so you can actually manage that here, which is something I'll show in a bit. Before that, I think one little thing I want to take you all to is the documentation for Twilio. Twilio Docs is one of the best I've ever seen. It's got a really great experience. I am sending over the link to our team here as well. They can share it with you so you can have a look at it. And yeah, with Twilio's documentation, I'll probably just take you quickly to SMS, but it has options for all of these, a lot of their services. When we come to Twilio SMS, it will show you a variety of platforms that you can actually get started with. It's got quick starts for PHP, Node, Python, Ruby, Java, and C Sharp. And I believe they have an open API doc as well. So using that reference, you can probably extend the these APIs to other platforms as well. So we've got quick start for a few of these. I'm going to be playing around with .NET Core, but I'm just going to take you through the get started process and show how it works. And after that, for voice, we're going to work on our own, but I'll do that with you on screen. So it should be comfortable. All right. Now that we are here, let's see how to work with your free Twilio trial account. Sure. So, once you've signed up, I've sent you a link. You can sign up from there. The next step is to get a phone number for yourself. Um, you can, get yourself, verify your phone number. That's always an option. But before that, make sure you've purchased one as well. That's definitely necessary. In any case, this is a step that you can go through. As you purchase, you can also release numbers later on where you want, and all of this is available in the documentation, so you can have a look at it in your own convenience. All right, and after that, of course, we're going to be working with C Sharp and .NET. So I'm going to take you to and do the setup with you in front of you, but you can have a look at this process here as you prefer. One second. Seems like I went a little step extra, but let me just go back to SMS. So with all of these platforms, Twilio has some really cool SDKs available already. If I take you to a quick start, you'll be able to see that with just these many lines of code, you can actually send in a text to any number you want. Just with your account SID, just with your auth token, you can do that. All you need to do is get Twilio's SDK. So it's a pretty nifty little system. All right. And I'll send in the link for this quick start here because we're using SMS, of course, within our session today. But for voice, I want you to explore yourselves as well. So you can go through the documentation, look at different features, options, activities that you can have. All right. So I won't close the logs off because I want to show those to you later. We're going to show with the current date and all of that. Next up, we're back on my system. That's a little desktop. This secrets file, I just want to point out that is a file we're going to be using later on. And I will tell you the significance of that once we're at it. First things first, I'm going to open my bash shell because I want to initialize a .NET project. I'm going to be working with .NET. Doesn't mean you have to as well. Okay. You can work with any of those languages of your preference. That's why I have sent in the docs. But .NET is just my preferred platform, so I like working with it. So .NET new console -o that just sets it up in a new folder for me. I'm just creating a console application right now, nothing too complex. You can utilize this in your web apps later and whatnot. That's always there for you. And that's something I've played around with in the past. So now that it's created a little project for me, just a .NET console application that's named Learn Twilio. I'm gonna go ahead, enter that directory, which is actually created for me up here. Shells are all they're powerful. So in this, well, in the directory I just entered, we've got a basic project file, we've got our program. So I'm gonna go ahead and enter this lovely little command code. Just open all of these files, this folder in VS Code, which is where we'll continue our development process. VS Code's great. So I hope VS Code is visible. I'm just going to zoom in a bit. This should hopefully make it easier to play around, just understand what I'm trying to write. So that's a little console application we have. All right. Before I move further, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to move this little secrets file into this folder. I was mentioning about the secrets file earlier, but the significance of this file is that I've just stored um, the number I want to call, my my auth token, my SID, all of that here. And the reason I've just done it is because I kind of wanna play around with it later. So that's stuff I need later. So I've just shifted it in here right now. Normally, it's a good idea to go ahead with environment variables. In this case, I'm just kind of doing a quick fix, but please, in the future, use environment variables. It's always a better practice. So, as you know, I'm going ahead to start. I think before that, I just want to test and see if this little, uh, if it, if the console application is working, if my SDK is okay. So I'm just going to go ahead, write .NET run, and that should hopefully, yeah, hello world. Okay, so my SDK is all right. This program is there, so we have an environment available. In order to work with Twilio, we need to download Twilio's SDK, of course. So next step for me is going to be to add, um, you know, the Twilio SDK from the NuGet library. Now, NuGet is specific to .NET. It is a C# library that is comparable to, how you would see the NPM library. So let's just go ahead, get yourself the SDK, and you can use whatever. Again, if you're working with Node, for example, you'd use NPM. All different languages and platforms have their own tools. NuGet is the tool I use, which is probably visible here if you see these references api.nuget.org. So now, as it happens, seems like the Twilio SDK that's in here for us, which should be available in one of these places. So if I look at, okay, it's probably not been, but somewhere around here we're gonna have the Twilio SDK with us. It's around there. You can probably explore your project files later on to figure it out. Anyway, that's not a big worry for us right now, so we're all right. So first thing, I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna remove this console write line, and I'm gonna initialize, an object for the secrets class that I have separately. Okay, and I'm just gonna keep it secrets, because why not? Now I want to keep a variable around for myself for my, account SID. So let's go ahead, create one of those first, and we're gonna use this secrets object to, well, okay, it seems like it might have been static, so I might not actually need, yeah, sorry, I didn't need an object there, my bad. That was a static class, so we're good. But anyway, this is basically a string that we have here that was saved. Fun thing about C#, you can actually use var if you don't want to write string. It functions well, so it's pretty comfortable. Next thing, I'm just gonna get back my auth token. You don't have to, do this if you have a separate class, but it just makes working with your code a little easier later on. So there's my auth token. Now I want to initialize the Twilio client. That's what I want to do. But as you can see, it's showing a little red line, which means it can't find this little class here for us. Great thing about VS Code, just press control dot or command dot, or actually, even if you right click, um, okay, suggestions were up there. So that shows you all the different options you can have. In this case, I'm going to enter using Twilio. What this will do is it add the reference to the Twilio package that I just called. So it's able to show the function necessary here, which is pretty cool. VS Code, the great tool that way. This is actually initialized using the account SID and the auth token, which of course, if you look here, it compares with username and password, right? That's exactly what we have here. That's how the account SID and auth token work. So now we have at least Twilio's client initialized. Next up, we're first gonna try and send out a message. All right. It's gonna be fairly comparable with what we had in the documentation. I'm gonna create a little variable here for me called message, and we're gonna go ahead and add message resource here, which is again not visible because this is a part of Twilio's REST API that requires a separate reference. At least in .NET, it requires that separate reference. So next thing, I just gotta enter REST API, the REST API, and see, it stops showing that red line again. What we want to do is create. So in order to create, what the different options that we're going to need are, I'm just going to keep this in the separate line that makes things easier to understand. The first thing we need is number to call. What we're going to have here is a new phone number, which is a Twilio types phone number. All right. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add another reference because I don't want very long names. It's going to be a new phone number, and we're getting it from secrets. because that's where I have it saved. The number we're calling is my number in this case, so I have it saved here. The second thing we need to create a message is a from resource, which will be our Twilio number, right? So we have another new phone number that is gonna be again being brought over from that other secrets class. It's been very convenient for me. That's gonna be our Twilio phone number. All right. The third thing we need is a message. Of course, we need a body for the message. So I'm gonna mention, hi there. It's my bad. Thanks for joining. Hack it out. Eesh, nice. Now, this message is now a type of the message resource class. What I want is a little indicator for me when I've got back my message, once this function's run. So I'm just gonna add a console write line, which is the equivalent of just a console log or a system.out.println, whichever one you're aware of. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna just print the account SID here, right? Oh no, wait. It's not account SID. That's not what it's supposed to be. I think we can print the messaging service SID. I'll tell you what, these things get confusing, right? The good news is you don't have to go about it alone. You can always refer to our documentation. It's absolutely lovely. It helps a lot. And I kind of wanted this to happen. I intentionally made sure that I'm going to mess this part up because, I think as we all forget that we're all humans, we're all trying to work and learn and grow. And in this process, documentation is something that's there to help us. So why worry? Um, yes, that being said, message.sid was the one I wanted. So that's what I'm going to have. And that's at least our messaging function ready. Interesting. Nice, nice. Now, next thing is of course that, we want to see if this actually works, if this actually runs. So we're going to go back and I am going to go ahead and run this. So as this runs, I should get a text message ideally. And I'm going to show that text message, on screen. So that should probably help out. It prints. That means I should get a message anytime. And the fun part is, I was looking at the logs right now. If I reload this page, it'll show me if that message has been sent. And looks like it has. So if you see on this date at this time in UTC, we had an outgoing message that went out that I can actually show you on my screen right now. So that was the message body that we had, all the details. I realize I've shown my number, but never mind. And yeah, let me just go back. Simran, if you could just expand my screen to the option where I'm larger than my shared screen, I can show this message on my display here as well. So as you can see, there's a message here that says, hi there, thanks for joining Hack It Out, which is exactly what we wanted. That's pretty cool, right? Now we're going to also try sending in a call. But before that, let me just take a sip of water. Good to keep yourself hydrated and throat just a little wet. Dry throat hurts.
That was
Yeah.
pretty cool and easy.
Exactly. That's the best part. It's extremely developer friendly, very easy to work with. Calling's just as easy, by the way. So we're gonna send in a call as
And
well.
make it very hack friendly, really. If you're hacking, you have very little time anyway. And you have free
Exactly.
credit. I mean, what's not to like?
Win-win.
Win win.
So I've just commented out that other part of this function. I'll tell you what, after as we come to a close, I'm also gonna throw in I'll push this to GitHub and send in the repo so you all can have a look at it later on as well. So next up, we want to go ahead and call, right? So what we have to do is create a call resource this time, which has a very similar format, by the way. So I'm just gonna add that semicolon for my sake. First step is to add a to number. The to and from number are gonna remain consistent. So I'm just gonna copy these over because it's the exact same thing. Here's where the change is gonna come now. When Twilio is trying to communicate and send in and just send out calls, Twilio has its own markup language to understand that better. So, in order to achieve that, they have something that is called TwyML, which stands for Twilio Markup Language. So, next thing we want to do is create a new TwyML resource. All right, and I think okay, that's just it's not in my user dictionary, but never mind. Yeah. So the next thing we want to do is add a little TwyML. It's got a simple structure, not very complex. First thing is just to mention a response, right? I'm going to show how you can actually replace this on Twilio's platform. If there's another way to go about it, which I'll show just very soon. Next thing is to add say, and the other thing that I'm going to show is probably something that some of you might recognize if you're going through Twilio's documentation right now. And we're going to write the same message. I'm just going to remove that ending. All right. So again, that's how easy it is to set up a little voice call. We're going to go back to console.writeline. We're going to print the call SID this time. It's using all the same resources and the same secret files, which makes life very convenient for all of us. So I can just go ahead and run this. The fun thing is going to be that this time it's going to be a call that I get instead of a message. So I'm going to go ahead back .NET run. Seems like there is a response. So anytime now, I will. Oh, seems like I am getting a call here, and let's hear this.
Hi there. Thanks for joining Hack It Out.
Was that audible? I hope that was, but it basically just repeated this point. If not, I'll just run this again. Let's just run this again anyway. So as you can see, it's giving a call SID back to me. Yep, call works. Earlier I had it on do not disturb, but yeah. Now if you can see, for me it just says work value. The reason for that is it's my number. I use it for testing and projects, so I have it saved. But that's all that is.
Hi there. Thanks for joining Hack It Out.
So calls work. Let's probably expand my screen once again, because I want to take you to the logs and show how that's working out. So, if I look at the logs now, I'll go to call logs this time. And yeah, it's loading. It's loading. So as you see, within a span of 1 minute, we had 2 calls right now on this date. I'll take you to the second one. That's all right, not an issue. And it shows the API call, it shows the body of the call, that SID, that's what we were printing. All of this information, which is really cool. And it it also tells us whether the call was completed or not. So if I take you back to we have some insight summary, I haven't explored into that in the past, but okay, we got more details, whether it was hung up or not, was there any packet loss, which is great to understand, whether your system's functioning properly. And along with that, if I show you in the past, there have been times a call might have failed, or the number could have been busy. So it actually shows you all of that information. And I'll show you what, like sometimes, for example, I think this one might have been a failed call, and I can share. I can show what happens, because I think it tells you why. I don't remember. Okay, there was no HTTP request logged. it does have some errors that it shows, if you run into an error, because that's something I've seen in the past when debugging my own solutions. So I think the one where there were multiple failed together was where I once was testing out trying to play an MP3 of it, and I'm actually not able to see that error, but never mind. It lets you know whether it's failed or not. Pretty nice though. Error logs are a separate category, I just realized. But I think it doesn't. Okay, I don't have errors in recent times, so that's probably why it's not showing those. But that's why it's pretty comfortable to work with. It's a really fun solution, and you can have a ton of fun with it. I think one of the more fun apps that I once made was a Rickroll solution, where I made an app that would actually call someone and Rickroll them. So, Simran, I'll tell you what. I guess we're done with our live coding. Let's try a demo of that as well. See how that worked out. Because we leveraged
Twilio.
Twilio there, and we used a recording of
Mm-hmm.
a really cool little song.
Oh,
So
I
yeah.
just exposed myself by accident. Sorry.
Never mind. Yeah. So if you want to take our screen off, because we've just gotten through, let's take it off for a second, and I want to demo the application on you. So it'd be nice if you have your phone around.
Okay,
Sorry
sure.
about this. It's a really fun troll, but that I can send in the link as well for that. For that repo. That was a really fun app. So that's one that I made with Xamarin. And it basically is a little application where I just enter a phone number to troll,
Right.
and I press a button and it'll let me know. So Simran, I guess you should be getting a call. And if you could just play it
Okay.
for us.
This is the first time I'm hearing this. What is it?
Oh my god. So yeah, it recalls you essentially.
This is it?
Play the full song for 3 minutes.
Okay, I
Just keep
think
that
it
run.
might
Okay, did you cut it out? Because I was gonna show
end.
a log. Let me just run it once, because I want to. If you can just bring up the screen once again, I want to show the logs here for this and show what happens in the middle of the call.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just
We'll
gonna
have to
rickroll
back
you
up
once
again in
again.
that case.
Yeah. If can you just bring up my screen to show? Yeah. So now that I go to the latest call, it'll actually show that the call is in progress this time. We can see here it's in progress. And Simran, if you cut it now, suppose I'll just reload this once, because it's gonna show the duration for it which it ran as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So here it shows how much time we kept it running for, 25 seconds, as well as the cost. So all of that is where this helps out.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty cool that way. Now, if I was
Definitely.
mentioning earlier that there's another way to to run that YML, because writing that markup here seems frustrating. Plus, it doesn't really verify, right? Good news, you don't have to go this way. Twilio actually has another method of going about it. So if you actually check out, it has the YML category, but if you go ahead and try to look at quick starts for voice, for example, where
Uh-huh.
it's going to show a different method for us. Actually has that set as a past searching option for me, because I just play around with Twilio so much. So documentation is the easiest to access. But here you'll see a URI, right, that has a little voice XML, um,
Link to
and
it, yeah.
it's probably makes you wonder where that XML is coming from. I can close on
Mm-hmm.
the documentation now. We're gonna go back to Twilio again. Now there's another thing in Twilio called YML bins. Just by the way, if you don't see these options here, you can explore products and find them and pin them from there. That's how I pinned these from. Okay. You've got sections for messaging, voice, all of them. But right now, what we want to check out is TwyML bins. So Twilio allows you to create these little bins. I had one for tech role, and what it lets you do is, let's just call this learn Twilio. It lets you save a little XML here, um, with proper formatting, by the way, fun stuff, and it validates for you. So if suppose there was a typo here, it's gonna tell you it's not valid, and you can just create. As soon as that's done, it'll give you a URL that you can copy and take back. So if suppose I was to change my TwyML and add a URI instead, sorry about that. This should work in the exact same manner ideally. So let me just go ahead, save it once, it's updated. Let's try running this. I'm not sure why I'm getting a little error here, but worry about. Let's just go ahead, give it a run, see if it creates an error. I hope not. That's really the hope with all of these, but oh, okay. Okay. Oh, yeah. I forgot. It needs to be URL. Yeah, sorry about that. If you can add a URL instead of YML, and that basically is going to contain this. So now if I run it, I'm going to get the same SMS again that I had earlier. Tell you what, let's shake things up. Just going to go ahead. Thanks for joining it. Hack it out. You're awesome. And I realized I just added it to a call, not a text. That's what I wanted to do. So I'm just gonna go back to text and do that. I wanted to show a text, not a call this time. But that's a good thing. You can just copy this and oh wait, I'm getting confused. It was supposed to be a call. My bad. Um, yeah, just playing around with two APIs, you get lost along the way. But anyway, back to a call. Yep.
Hi there. Thanks for joining Hack It Out. You're awesome.
So now that I had an updated little thing, because that was there in my TwyML bin, which is nice. It just lets you clean up your stuff. Keep some constant messages you want on there. Any text you want to say or repeat at a certain point. You can actually extend these responses to have a lot of other features. But and just for example, messaging here is an option as a template. But that's why this is so cool. So that was a little Twilio demo for us. And I'll tell you what, let me just go ahead. I'm gonna, yeah. I want to initialize this repo first because I want to get ignore in there. Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff we can't have. Let's see, there are a few things we don't want in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna create get ignore. I could have just done that up there, but this feels cool. Playing around with the shell. So I'm gonna add bin obj because those are build files. We don't need them in there. And the third thing I want to add here is secrets. Now this is more of a Git thing, so if you don't understand this, don't worry too much. It's all right. So if you see with the Git ignore, it doesn't show all of those other older files, right? The reason for that is because with the Git ignore, it allows you to ignore certain files from your Git source control. So I'm just gonna add all of these, create, and yeah, let's just comment this, save it once, add back this change, and we'll just say create demo console app. Now I recognize that in order to push this, I would have had to create a Git repo, but I didn't want to do that initially. So I'll just go ahead. I'll go to my GitHub. It'll actually let me get back that Rickroll link for you as well. So I'm gonna find that and send that over to right now. Let me just see if it's. I'll have to go to repositories. That was actually a live session as well. So if you want to look into how you can make the Rickroll app, you can actually check out the video here. I was built live. So again, another fun experience. But for now, we'll just save this demo app. So I want to create a new repository here. We're gonna call it Learn Twilio Hack It Out. I'm not gonna add a description right now, anyway, and we're gonna skip all of these because if we're working with existing repositories, these can create conflicts, which we don't want. So it initially mentions that if you're importing an existing repository, just skip these. Yeah, and the next few things that we want, we've got a commit. I'm just going to copy a few of these commands here, uh, just because I want to make my life a little more convenient. But basically, we're adding a remote and just setting main as the main branch and pushing it to that our origin, which should be done. So yeah, that's there for us. You can find this code here. Only secrets is not visible, but that's just, well, a representative equivalent for an environment variable. Please use that next time. That's always a good practice. And if you're worried about the Git jargon, don't worry. That's an entirely separate thing altogether. Um, that's well, there's enough resources. You can check out GitHub's Learning Labs for that. Microsoft Learn has some content. So that would be the way to go for that. But for now, don't worry too much. The Git jargon wasn't a priority. That was just because I wanted to set this up on GitHub. In any case, you can check out the code file here right now. It's gonna be visible with all of you. I believe it should be there in the chat now as well. So yeah, I guess we're good. Uh, does anyone have any queries at this point?
I don't see any on the chat yet, but if you have any questions, you can always post them in the comments later and we can get back to you on them, or you could reach out directly to Aditya on our
Just
Discord, or and we can have
via
questions
Twitter.
answered. Or via Twitter, yeah, you can see the Twitter handles for both of us here. This was fun. This was a lot of fun, and Twilio was really easy. Thanks a lot for showing that to us today and giving us a tool for hacking well and hacking efficiently in 2 weeks. Not very long left for the hack.
Yeah, just a little while to go. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So
All
this
right,
was
then I guess that probably brings us to the end.
we don't have any questions. Just people really enjoyed the Rickroll app too, and I've shared the link for the same in the live chat. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining
Little
us
bit of fun
today,
stuff.
and we had a great time. Thank you for taking time out on your weekend for us, and thanks everyone that joined into the live. Make sure to save this video for future reference because you will need Twilio when hacking, when you want to hack with voice or SMS and such, and this is going to be super helpful then. So thanks a lot for joining us today. And if you haven't, go register at hackitout.devpost.com and we'll see you at the hack. Bye bye, everyone. Have a great
See you all.
weekend.
Bye bye.